And hey, if you're an introvert yourself, you might just discover a few of your own hidden superpowers today. 7 specific reasons behind this attraction. And you know, some might sound familiar, but I promise you, a few of these are pretty counterintuitive. They might totally change how you see the quiet people in your life, or maybe even how you see yourself.
And let's be clear, we're not just talking about personality quirks here. We're framing these as genuine superpowers. These are the traits that give introverts this unique and often really understated edge. We're going to start with how the rest of the world sees them.
So this first section is all about perception. It's about how an introvert's quiet nature gets interpreted by other people, often in ways that create this really intense attraction. First up, and this one's a classic, mystery. Think about it. By being quiet, introverts just don't put all their cards on the table. You don't know what's going on in their head right away, and that gap, that creates a natural curiosity that can be incredibly attractive.
Okay, reason number 2. They actually seem powerful. In any conversation, you'll notice the person who says less often holds more influence. By not jumping in with every single thought, the quiet person kind of keeps control. They create this tension in the dynamic that feels authoritative and, yep, attractive. And reason number 3 is that they just seem cool. So an introvert might turn down a party invite because, honestly, they'd rather be home. But here's the funny part. Instead of being seen as a loser, the exact opposite happens. People start thinking, wow, they must have better things to do, or they're just too cool for this scene. It creates this aura of self-sufficiency that people find totally magnetic.
So we've covered the whole external perception thing. Now let's go a layer deeper. Let's look at the internal engine that's really driving this quiet exterior. What is actually happening inside an introvert's mind?
And get ready for this one, because our source material calls this the most controversial reason for their allure. This one might ruffle a few feathers, but you know what? It makes a ton of sense when you really break it down.
The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre famously said, "Hell is other people." Now, okay, that's a little extreme, but it perfectly sets up our next point about social interaction and, well, the fact that sometimes people can be just a little bit annoying.
Just take a look at this comparison. Let's be real. Everyone has the potential to say something awkward or annoying. It just happens. But extroverts, by their very nature, they just talk more. They have more at-bats, conversationally speaking, which statistically just increases their chances of saying something they might regret. Introverts, on the other hand,
Well, that brings us right to reason 4. They just say fewer annoying things. It's kind of simple math, really. By speaking less, they naturally give themselves fewer opportunities to make those little social mistakes, and that makes them come across as if they really have it all together.
All right, reason number 5. Introverts are deeply introspective. They spend a lot of time alone, but don't mistake that for empty time. That time is for processing, for thinking, for figuring stuff out.
So that alone time is used for this deep internal processing about life, about themselves, whatever they're passionate about. And this whole process leads to real clarity and insight. To the rest of us, that introspection comes across as being deep, thoughtful, and wise. And those are qualities that are pretty much universally attractive.
So we've covered perception and the inner world. Now for our last section, how do all these traits actually come together to build these really powerful one-on-one connections?
Reason number 6 is a big one. They are fantastic listeners. In a one-on-one chat, an introvert's natural setting is to speak less and absorb more. And whether it's intentional or not, this just makes them seem like an incredibly attentive and engaged listener.
This creates what we can call the listener effect. I mean, everybody wants to feel heard, right? It's a fundamental human need. And by providing that space for someone to talk and just feel understood, introverts offer this powerful form of validation that builds instant connection and attraction.
And that brings us to our final reason, number 7. Because introverts are really choosy with their social energy, they're not out there chatting up everybody. So when they do choose to engage with you, to really listen to you, it feels significant. That person is thinking, wow, this cool, mysterious person is giving me their attention. It makes them feel singled out. It makes them feel special.
Okay, let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together. When you combine all 7 of these reasons, you start to see this really clear picture of what we can call the introvert's edge. And it's a really powerful combination, isn't it? It starts with that mysterious aura and that sense of perceived power, but it's backed by a thoughtful depth that comes from genuine introspection. And all of this leads to the ability to forge truly meaningful one-on-one connections. It really is the complete package of quiet captivation.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. If you've ever thought of your quietness as a weakness, maybe it's time to reframe that.
What if it's not something you have to overcome? What if it is, in fact, your greatest and most captivating strength?